So far, we've been speaking about really intimate relationships that you may have with your parent or your partner or your child. And today we're going to look at sort of broader relationships as well. Do you know which is likely to be the longest intimate relationship in your life? It's not with your parent, it's not with your child, it's actually with your sibling. Our siblings are born around the same time as us. They're likely to have the same lifespan. We share so much. We share history, we share background, childhood experiences, parents. There's nothing more significant to share than parents, I think. And our initial forming environments itself. As children, we tend to feel strong emotions. And many of our initial strong emotions can be focused on the sibling. Love or hate, envy or compassion, competition or cooperation, all of these things we experience often for the first time with our siblings. And the way in which they play out can have a significant impact on our life. We also often define ourselves or get defined by other people on the basis of our similarities or differences with our siblings. Okay, so in a family you may have, okay, she's the studious one, he's the playful one. Or she's the noisy one, he's the quiet one. And you also may start to think of yourself in that way. So if I've decided that, vis-a-vis my sibling, I'm the playful one, I may feel that, this is who I am. I'm not going to study. I'm not going to take that seriously because this is my identity. And any identity that we get and hold on to so tightly, it can limit you subsequently. Okay? So our identities are co-created almost alongside our siblings. So no one knows you as well or understands you as well in many occasions as your sibling, and this is a relationship worth investing in. What can you do to keep this relationship good? One is, I think, have fun together. Spend leisure time, Sundays, holidays, outings, picnics. Make sure that you have that time together. The second is, especially for adult siblings, that you can discuss roles and responsibilities. Sometimes one sibling may feel, I have all the burden of looking after my parents. Well, your sister or brother may not know that this is how you're feeling. And so, having a conversation about this is what I can do, this is what you can do would be useful. The other thing which I think is important is to sort of sometimes go over the past. Having lived together like that, there's possibilities that you've upset each other, hurt each other inadvertently. Both of you were children together after all. And so sometimes going back to that and clearing the air and explaining yourself, that can heal a lot of hurts. And finally, I'd say be accepting of their life choices, their partners, their professions, what they've chosen to do with themselves. The more we're able to accept and include that, the happier the relationship is. So coming now to the larger system or group that we live in, which I'm referring to here as community. Our community is it can be defined by geographical boundaries, an apartment building or a layout. It can be defined by familial relationships, by religion or cultural beliefs. It can also be defined by common interests, okay? So you can have a community of cyclists or people who are environmentalists. Anyone with who you share that sense of, okay, I belong to the same group, forms your community. So, as such, your community is your reference group. These are the people you identify with, they're the people you evaluate yourself by, and well, they are also the people whose evaluation we look to and sometimes fear. Being part of a supportive community again has huge mental health benefits. Apart from just the emotional buffer, the feeling of belonging and the feeling of closeness, there's also the fact that, friends, neighbors, these are people who can offer you practical help. These are our resources. If I need to rush to the hospital, or if I need to find out how does this legal thing work, if I have someone I can call and ask, then this can be a huge difference to my life. So both instrumentally and emotionally, your community forms a buffer for you. In modern city life, it's much easier to sort of be isolated and live just within your own apartment or within your own house, because you don't really need other people in a very big way. And sometimes we can feel like, I don't really want to invest so much in all these relationships. So I'd like to tell you then about an interesting study done in 2003 where Brown and colleagues found that the more you invest instrumentally, the more you help your neighbors, friends, etc., and people who invested in providing emotional support for their spouses had a lower 5-year mortality rate than those who did not help their neighbors or their community and who did not support their spouses. This is mortality, okay? You're less likely to die if you are helpful and supportive to the people around you. So think about it. Like everything, communities also have their downside. So while they're your source of support, they can also be your source of rules and regulations. These are the people who kind of tell you what is okay and what is not. And if your idea of what is okay or the way you want to live is very different from your community, that can definitely create a lot of emotional pressure, create a lot of anxiety. Communities sometimes don't support women's rights, or they may not be comfortable with alternate sexualities. They may not support mental health help. Your community may say, don't see a therapist, don't take medicine, this is wrong. And so some community attitudes can be fairly problematic for you. Here I'd say one that, if you choose to make an unconventional choice, that's what unconventional means. It means something that most people won't understand or approve of. So you need to kind of know that along with the package of the choice comes probably disapproval for the choice, and not get too upset by it or take it too personally. Rather, to negotiate with the community wherever you can. We are not helpless. We can explain ourselves to people and people can understand. Or to draw boundaries of privacy sometimes between yourself and your community. It's not necessary that everybody on the street knows about every little thing that you did. And one last word on this. In this digital age, we have access to like-minded people through the internet. And I think that that is one of the nicest things about the internet, and something which I would encourage people to use. You can create the community that you like. So, rather than feeling upset about being surrounded by people who may not understand you, it's quite easy to reach out to people who will. And this is something that I'd recommend.